I came to Georgetown, here in Washington, D.C., to film The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a novel by William Peter Blatty, inspired by an event that took place in 1949, when Blatty was an undergraduate here at Georgetown University.
Right now, we are on the campus of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. We're on the main campus, right by the front. And in one of those classrooms, I listened to a Jesuit priest. He was teaching a theology course, New Testament. Father Eugene Gallagher began to go off on a case of possession and exorcism, and that's where I first heard about possession.
On this quiet little street, in this quiet town called Cottage City, Maryland, this is the house where the 1949 case began, where a Lutheran family whose 14-year-old son was said to be possessed. He was examined by doctors and psychiatrists who could not determine the cause of his disturbing afflictions. And so, priests from the Catholic diocese in Washington, D.C. were brought in to perform a series of exorcisms at this very house. The boy was later transferred to Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis, where he was eventually liberated. Bill Blatty believed in the truth of this case when he wrote his novel and later his screenplay of The Exorcist. And so did I when I directed the film.
And lo and behold, I then read it in the Washington Post, and I was very excited about it. And I thought, wouldn't it be absolutely marvelous if one could write a nonfiction account of this, provided it was authentically something paranormal and inexplicable. What a tremendous reaffirmation of faith that would be. There would be a fantastic, well, what are we waiting for? And, you know, many, many, many years later, it all came back to me, and I determined to write that story, but as nonfiction. And I finally was able to track down with great difficulty the original exorcist in that particular case. His name was Father William Bowdern. He was a Jesuit. He was very eager to help me. And apparently a promise of absolute silence and confidentiality had been given to the family of the possessed boy. And he asked that that be lifted because this was a very, very good cause. It was very apostolic work that was going to be done. And they went to the family, said no, they wanted no part of it. Now I was more convinced than ever, since they were not publicity mongers going on Geraldo, whatever, that this thing had really had substance to it. And he utterly galvanized me, Father Bowden did, with one sentence in his letter. At the bottom, after explaining how sorry he was that he couldn't help me, and after pleading with me, please don't write about this case, don't tell anything that I've told you. He said, one thing, however, I can tell you. The case in which I was involved was the real thing. I had no doubt about it then. I have no doubt about it now.